I know I skipped out on Monday somehow and forgot about it, but trying to make up for it. So today there was an interesting development. So where I'm interning at, we're kind of again helping a school district get things up and running. And come to find out, so I go to start lunch in the IT office, and the IT director, he's sitting there. It's like, do you know what really makes me mad? Is these students and some of the dumb stuff they do. Come to find out, a student had discovered a fun way to mess with other people. So he discovered the ping of death. And for those that don't know, it's basically where you take one computer and you basically incessantly ping another's computer in order to cause it to not be able to work or to be very, very slow. So, or yeah. So he had sent all these ICMP ping packets or figured out how to with a script. And so now this teacher, I don't know if this teacher is very technically inclined or what, but this teacher had sent an email about it, and now it's like a whole situation that's being mitigated and worked on. So from Windows, I'm not sure what the documentation looks like, but we can check out the ping documentation here. So send ICMP echo request to network host, and then we've got like the whole synopsis here, like the whole breakdown of like different options that you have and all that. If you tell ping to keep sending packets without waiting for a response, then you create basically multiple open ports, open ports on a system, and it keeps receiving all these ping requests before it can process and send its response back. So that's what basically slows down the system and clogs up the network traffic. And it can cause problems on the network as well, because in the school district, particularly in the high school, because this was a high school student doing this, it can slow the network traffic down overall immensely, because you've basically got to send this ping packet all the way to the router. The router has to decide, okay, this is the network that it goes to, and then it starts to do that. According to the teacher, the student was doing this to get out of doing things. Now, honestly, there are better ways to get out of doing things, like just not doing it, the thing at all that you don't want to do, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, we've got audible pings, adaptive pings. Let's see. Allow pinging broadcast request, which in this case, I'm not sure if Windows has this option, but this can create an issue where if you're pinging a broadcaster address, it could possibly end up sending to all of the computers on the network, thus bogging the network down wholly and completely. So, yeah, that can be an issue. Let's see, we've got... Okay, here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. Flood ping. For every echo request, send a dot. Sent, a dot is printed, while for every echo reply received, a backspace is printed. Provides a rapid display of how many packets are being dropped if interval is not given. So you can basically flood the whole line of it. There are a couple other like hping 3 or what all utilities as well that can do the same thing. I haven't been able to look at the script. I'd be curious to look at the script to see what exactly the student is doing. Okay, so where we, before getting interrupted, So you've got the pattern. Let's see. See quality of service related bits on ICMP datagrams. Ping only. Record route, including the request. Packet size, so you can change the size of the packet. And let's see, time to live, of course, timeout, and deadline. So this is like probably one of the more basic ways to go about doing this kind of a denial of service attack, which is basically what's going on. And the student has no permission whatsoever to do this. The student was kind of doing this without anyone knowing, and nonetheless had a friend or two that later on were in on it. So now you've got an accomplice, and when you look at the student that it originates from in the management software, he's got all these other things installed on his system that aren't supposed to be there. So somewhere along the way, some of the things that he had were grandfathered in before new device management policies were put in place. And so it also opens up a bunch of holes. So this also goes on to, well, now we have to also go and take care of that system, set it up and reset it so that it doesn't have all these things on it like Xbox app or the Xbox overlay and so on, because the student provides a liability for the network security overall. Now, if the student has access to Nmap, this creates a whole other issue, because Nmap not only will send ping packets or will ping hosts, but can also do port scans and so on and get other information. I would assume that it's possible that the student has this, but you can also send Christmas tree scans, which basically sends packets asking for like every flag across the board to light up. And then on top of that, you can run very quick scans. Let's see. Let's see, OS detection, firewall IDS evasion. So here, this part here, Cloakus scan with decoys, you can create a number of randomized IP addresses for which there a number of randomized IP addresses that are listed as the source of the IP address, the source IP address in the packets. And so it'll basically end up flooding the network traffic with these decoy IP addresses in order to scan the system and to get more information on it. Of course, Nmap has a number of other scripts and things like that, but the decoy one is the one that obscures the real source IP address. Of course, when you sniff for the packets of it, you're going to find the actual IP address in there somewhere. The decoys are pretty much a smokescreen to obscure that. Apart from that, you can spoof the source IP address. There was one more option in here that I think I skipped over. So there's the script stuff. There's a port scan, trace route DNS servers. Thought there was one more. Output, no. But there was a little bit more. Or that might be hping. So, do I have? Nope. So HPing3 has different flags arguments you can enable for like flooding, ICMP, and so on. But Nmap can do that pretty well on its own. You can probably find scripts for it. Again, I'd like to really see the script that the student has in order to actually analyze it, because then it would help better understand what the student's actually doing and also tell where the script actually came from. Because part of me is thinking that the student is taking scripts that were pre-made off of like Stack Overflow or what have you in order to do these things. Because according to the teacher, the student wants access to the external network so that he can hide the device that he's working from and can't tell who he is. And that's not how this works. In fact, in some cases, using a school-owned device, which the student is doing, is worse than bringing your own device into the network. So, like, for example, I was working on helping with testing some of the access points, and I bring my own laptop. The problem with some of the management software is it can be really, really slow, and my computer was not showing up at all in the list of connected devices. So this creates an interesting situation where I'm clearly connected to the network. I can look at the MAC address of the access point that I'm looking at. So if I were to go, and what was it? IWconfig. I can see the access point MAC address. Now, of course, this is the wireless transmitter MAC address that is on my end, not the Ethernet end, the other end point on the router that connects directly to the satellite or so on. But I could see this information, but for whatever reason in the management software, my system was not pulling up when it should have. And in some cases, I was connected to it for well longer than it should have been to be able to see it, but I wasn't showing up. So bringing your own device in can bring in some interesting push and pull, but I have to double check if MAC address randomization is turned on in order to see if that plays a part into it. But there's some bad execution of the intended purpose of the operation going on. And nonetheless, there's also been bad OPSEC because of teacher convenience, which possibly plays a role into the whole situation as it is. So I'm hoping that later on I can update with more information on some of this and also like analyze some of that, because I think it's pretty cool. And yeah. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.